Welcome everybody. I'm Reagan Cusimanio. I am the co-chair of the Public Policy and Advocacy Committee for the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to thank everybody in the audience for being here today and welcome to our first candidate forum for the Kansas House of Representatives District 48 GOP primary. We'd like to thank the Johnson County Public Policy Council for coordinating today's forum. The council is a collaborative effort of the 10 chambers of commerce representing more than 5,000 Johnson County businesses. In addition to hosting forums such as these, the Public Policy Council conducts other voter education efforts, including publishing a wealth of information for candidates on the council's website, and that's located at www.votejoco.com. We'd like to welcome and introduce our candidates alphabetically. We have with us Debbie Paulbeck and Randy Ross. And I'd like to give a brief overview of today's format for those of you who are in the audience and those who will be watching later online. We're going to first give each candidate 1.5 minutes for an opening statement. We'll start with Randy Ross. And then after those opening comments, we will rotate through questions written by the Public Policy Council and getting through many of those questions as we can in the time we have allotted. We will not be taking questions from the audience today. Because this is a forum and not a debate, we have not built in time for any type of rebuttal, and at the conclusion of our Q&A, we will give each candidate an opportunity to offer closing remarks. So prior to starting the forum, we did draw numbers to determine who would speak first, and as I stated, based on that random drawing, we will start with Randy Ross and his opening statement. Mr. Ross.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and I would like to thank the Johnson County Public Policy Council as well as the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce for making this forum possible. My name is Randy Ross. I'm a candidate for the Republican nomination for House District 48. Before retiring about 18 months ago, I was Senior Vice President of Managed Market Resources, a healthcare consulting practice. My wife Patty and I will celebrate our 49th wedding anniversary this November. We have 2 children. A son, Jason, who's a computer engineer with Intel, living near Sacramento, California, and our daughter, Amber, a professor at the University of Florida, living in Gainesville with our grandson. Patty and I moved to Johnson County about 10 years after we honeymooned here in the 1970s. We were drawn to beautiful neighborhoods, outstanding school systems, and a moderate cost of living, and recognize that you don't find those 3 things everywhere without someone working hard to make it happen. I've always been interested in state government, but because it requires facing and resolving real challenges. Unlike the federal government, state government demands immediate solutions. I've been active in my local Republican Party as a precinct committeeman and am also serving as an officer in my homeowners association. Just like with an HOA, state government needs to bring citizens together to solve local problems. This passion drives me to seek representation for House District 48. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Debbie, your turn for opening statement.
Well, hi, I'm Debbie Paulbeck, and I am running for the House seat and in District 48. I'm a mom to 3 wonderful boys. My oldest attended K-State and is now a doctor of chiropractic medicine and an animal chiropractor in Washington State. My middle son just graduated from the University of Arkansas and is with a degree in political science and history, and is currently living in Washington, D.C., working for the U.S. Senate. And he is part of the reason why I got into running for the Kansas House. My youngest son is a sophomore, is going to be a sophomore at K-State, and is studying mechanical engineering with an emphasis on aerospace. My husband Bob and I have been married for 24 years. We've lived in Overland Park for 20 years. I studied occupational therapy at Kansas University and spent most of my career in healthcare, primarily working with children's eye care specialists. I am a co-owner of a event event planning business. I also am involved in my church community. I worked for the Republican House Candidate Committee, and I walked for several candidates around Johnson County, and those would be like Terry. I actually walked for my opponent's treasurer, Terry Frederick, 2 years ago. Carl Turner also, he's a great representative, and he loves his community. So I also just enjoyed walking and talking to people, listening to their concerns and what they had to say. And my son, like I said, he was the one that I got involved with because he was in high school in 2020 through COVID. And he looked at me and he just said, "Mom, you complain a lot. What are you going to do about it?" And so this is where I feel like I can make a difference for our kids in my community. So that's why I'm running for the Kansas House.
Thank you. We will start with our questions. As a candidate, Debbie, what are your top 3 policy issues?
Tax relief. I feel like that we need to gosh, I lost my train of thought. Tax relief for one. I'm all in favor in reducing taxes to make sure that more of the citizens of Kansas citizens keep more of their money in their own pockets. Protect our kids from fentanyl and pornography, and I think what that involves is making sure that we are working with our local government, funding our law enforcement and funding our law enforcement, and making sure that we have good relationships. And then third would be just setting our kids up for success and making sure that they're on a right track to succeed in life.
Right. Thank you. Randy, same question for you.
Thank you. My top 3 issues are education, fiscal responsibility, and cybersecurity. We must commit to fully funding our educational systems, but also hold them accountable to what I call their stakeholders: teachers, students, parents, and taxpayers. As an example, in the case of teachers, we need to ensure that they have the necessary resources, both financial and environmental, to maintain a focused and effective learning environment free from disruptions. Second, we need fair and effective fiscal policies that balance spending with reasonable taxation, avoiding overburdening our citizens. And finally, cybersecurity is crucial. You know it was going to happen. So, cybersecurity is crucial, especially when your phone's ringing. You see what happens when you don't put up a barrier? Your phone interrupts you. But cybersecurity, our state has been breached a couple of times already because of bad actors have infiltrated the Labor Department as well as the state court system. But it extends beyond there. Cybersecurity is also about protecting minors from pornography and also making sure that other institutions around the state are aware of people who may be coming to act their sensitive information. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No need to apologize. Anybody else need to check their phones before we continue on? We'll go to our next question, and we'll go back to you, Randy. Number 2, what are your views on state tax policy? Please be as specific as you can.
Sure. Thank you. Fair and effective fiscal policies are crucial to balancing spending and taxation. Government must have sufficient resources to fulfill its responsibilities, but must carefully weigh that against the financial burden it may place on citizens. Excessive taxation can obstruct individuals from fully enjoying the rewards of their hard work and their lifetime of labor. Tax policy is driven by state spending and the budget development process. We need improvements in how our state legislature plays a role in overseeing development of budgets. Some have said it's been more of a tradition in recent years that you kind of accept the governor's budget. Some traditions need to be retired. Soon, a joint committee will spend 2 days reviewing and recommending how the state's budget process might be improved. I would highly recommend that they review how other states handle this and what their outcomes look like. We share common challenges. Let's learn from each other about possible solutions.
Thank you. Debbie, same question for you.
Well, I believe that the taxpayer money ultimately belongs back to the taxpayer. I believe that the state government is taking in way more money that is needed to cover the essentials that we expect our government to cover. So it calls for responsible spending, tax cuts to keep much of the citizens' money, hardworking citizens' money in their own pockets.
Thank you. So next question around K-12 education, and we'll go back to you, Debbie. What are your views on K-12 education funding and accessibility?
The school funding is over 50% of the state budget, and I feel like that still needs to continue. However, I do feel like the school funding needs to be tied somewhat to results. This just will help make sure that our kids are being well prepared for the workforce and that they are becoming good citizens of the community.
Thank you. Randy, same question for you.
Thank you, Regan. Providing adequate funding and accessibility in K-12 education is crucial for fostering equal opportunities and preparing our children for the future. It's imperative that the legislature ensures necessary resources are allowed and allocated to our schools. However, funding alone isn't enough. We must also actively seek input from the previous mentioned local education stakeholders, teachers, students, parents, and taxpayers, to understand and address their needs effectively. By collaborating with these stakeholders, we can create a well-rounded educational environment that not only meets academic standards, but also supports the development of students across rural and urban areas, regardless of economic situations. This approach will help us achieve our ultimate goal, producing well-educated leaders who are prepared to face challenges of the future.
Thank you. The next question is around economic development, and we'll start with you, Randy. What types of economic development policies do you support to encourage job growth and business expansion here in the state of Kansas?
Thank you. Economic development policies are essential for encouraging job growth and business expansion in Kansas. Each project must be evaluated to ensure that incentives enable companies to relocate, expand, or remain in the state, and we must achieve these goals cost effectively. We must implement targeted tax incentives and grants that support both small businesses and large corporations, making Kansas an attractive destination for new investments. In addition, enhancing our infrastructure is vital by improving transportation networks, broadband access, utility services. We can create a more business-friendly environment that supports both urban and rural development. Workforce development programs are also crucial, and we need to invest in education and training initiatives that align with the needs of local industries, ensuring that our workforce has the skills required for current and future job markets. Encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship is another key focus. By supporting startup incubators, providing access to venture capital, and fostering a culture of innovation, we can stimulate the growth of new industries and technologies within Kansas. Thanks.
Thank you. Debbie, same question for you.
Well, I believe it is part of the state government's responsibility to support economic development policies to encourage job growth and business expansion. When we work to attract jobs and businesses to Kansas, we need to just make sure that they are well-paying, high-paying jobs that are going to stick around and last. Kansas is competing with area surrounding states for this type of job growth, and they have much lower tax rates. So whether this pertains to STAR bonds, tax incentives, or helps to entice businesses for economic development, we just need to make sure that it's done wisely and responsibly.
Thank you. Next question kind of ties back into this first one. What would you do, Debbie, to grow and develop the state's workforce?
Well, a productive workforce, just like productive members of society, starts with productive education, or schools and educational development training for this workforce. So I think we need to continue to fund our education, skills and trade development, and provide opportunities for our younger generation to learn new skills and trades so that they can support their communities and foster growth.
Thank you. Randy, same question for you.
Thank you. Growing and developing the state's workforce requires a multifaceted approach. First, we must enhance and expand workforce skills to attract the employers that we're going to be targeting. The ones that we just talked about in the previous question. Current state programs, such as the Kansas Industrial Training and Retraining programs, need to remain up to date to ensure graduates have career opportunities. We need to investigate possible updates or upgrades in the technology areas for those programs. Are we doing things with AI and robotics? Some of the things that those incubator companies might be looking for employees for. Our K through 12 and post-secondary education systems also must provide foundational education and career-focused pathways to success. Finally, we must also ensure that our communities are desirable places to live, not only for current, but also future Kansans. This will attract employers, create jobs for today, and provide opportunities for tomorrow.
Thank you. Next question, and we're going to start with you, Randy, again. What are your views on the state's role with respect to ensuring access and affordability of post-secondary education?
Well, I recognize the burden of post-secondary education costs. I paid my own way through college. State appropriations are crucial alongside tuition and fees, and keeping education affordable is vital as funding cuts increase tuition. So much of what we have talked about so far has dealt with a quality educational system and a well-educated populace. These are all pieces of this same puzzle. Kansas has a robust system of universities and colleges consistently funding education, including tuition reimbursement, college scholarships, and programs like the Kansas Promise Scholarship. They're essential for a skilled workforce and economic growth. By doing this, we not only provide direction to students about their future, but we also signal to prospective Kansas businesses our commitment to a robust and educated workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Same question for you, Debbie.
Yes, I believe that the state should fund and provide opportunities to the post-secondary education students that want to attend a trade school or a vocational school or a technical school or even our community colleges. That will just help broaden our workforce and give opportunities beyond what our excellent state-funded colleges and universities already provide.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll start with you again, Debbie. What are your views on healthcare policy and Medicaid expansion?
I believe that we need to improve Medicaid and also increase the quality of care of Medicaid and Medicare. We can do that through reimbursement rates to hospitals and providers. This will ensure that more physicians and hospitals can support those on the state health care and pay the provider competitive rates compared to private insurance or out of pocket. This will ensure increased accessibility, enable better care, and expand the provider workforce. I worked for in healthcare a lot, and my physician that I worked for, we saw Medicaid patients, and I remember one lady in particular came in for just the basic care, and she was needing extended, more intense testing, and so the doctor I particularly worked for did that because free of charge, but a business can't sustain that. So I think what we need to do is, to increase or make the quality of care better, reduce the waiting times for people that want to get onto the program, and then better reimbursement rates needed to fix. And we need to make sure we fix these first.
Thank you. Randy, same question for you.
Thank you. Affordable health care is essential for all patients. Pharmaceuticals, accounting for about 10 to 25% of healthcare spending, can be effective but costly. Pharmacy benefit managers influence Medicaid choices, costs, and support for patients. Kansas should regulate PBMs, and when elected, I look forward to working with the Kansas Pharmacists Association regarding their efforts to better regulate PBMs. But it's crucial to discuss how to protect the uncovered Medicaid population to improve their health, because healthy populations are less costly to care for, and leaving this group without coverage is not viable. Earlier this year, I sat through the hearings in Topeka about Medicaid expansion, and I heard a number of speakers promoting it, and they spoke of a number of reasons for taking this course of action. But one thing I didn't hear from any of them, I haven't been able to find in the research, that people who have been covered by this expansion actually have an improved health status. And if we're expanding it to cover them, well, then what measure should we use if they aren't being made healthier? And I've talked with other people about this. I've gone to conferences, talking to legislators in other states who've told me about, everything about our rural hospitals are staying open. Okay, how is this population being made healthier by this expansion? And it's crickets. And I've talked to other people here, and I said, can you find me some published studies? And no one has come forward. If this thing works, then I think we really need to take a hard look at doing it. But if it isn't making the people healthier, then we need to find something else.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll start again with you, Randy. There has been a lot of discussion about foreign land ownership, leasing and purchasing equipment containing foreign manufactured parts. What factors do you consider when attempting to balance national security concerns against free enterprise and private property rights?
Well, balancing national security with free enterprise and property rights means finding an appropriate way to keep our country safe without impeding business from growing or taking away people's rights to their own property. We need careful checks, rules, and ongoing monitoring to make sure we're protecting important sites and technologies while accommodating economic growth and respecting individual freedoms. This involves reviewing foreign investments, setting clear regulations, and staying alert to new challenges and opportunities. Look, I don't want intelligence gathering platforms from hostile foreign nations, floating over our country in a balloon or sitting on Kansas farmland near a military base. And to me, that just seems like common sense.
Same question for you, Debbie.
Well, I believe our government is failing us, and there are things that we can do at a state level to protect our critical infrastructure and military bases. The Kansas legislature recently passed a law to diverse any state funds for countries of concern. With this, the state dollars will no longer be invested into those countries or enemy of ours. We should continue to make sure that the state funds are not to invest in companies owned or operated by our enemies and prevent land ownership from foreign countries of concern.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll go back to you, Debbie. There's a lot of discussion on how control over decision-making is divided among the state legislature and local governments, including school boards, on issues such as taxation, economic development, and education. What are your views on this issue?
Well, mostly I just think we all need to work together to do what is best for our citizens and our districts. I would want to establish good relationships with our Blue Valley School Board, city councils. I'm keenly aware of the importance of local control. As a legislature, we must see through the local government lens, and we are willing to stop bills that will be considered overreach. Local government is closest to the people and should be in better touch with the communities for their needs. Municipalities need to retain the ability to make fiscal and policy decisions that best fit our communities.
Thank you. Same question for you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Both the state legislature and local governments and boards must remember they're serving the same population. So quit fighting amongst yourselves and work together. They should collaborate. It should be through regular meetings. And I know there's been a little bit of an issue with the state legislators from Johnson County not all getting together and working together to stand for Johnson County the way that the legislators do down in Sedgwick County. I'd like to see that changed. They should collaborate, regular meetings, communications, policy and resource alignment, citizens involved across all of this because that's the population that everybody's serving. Joint planning and transparency ensure effective governance. Learning from successful examples in other regions. And come on, we're not the only ones who have this issue. Just any other state probably does. How do they deal with it? And where they don't, what are the ongoing problems? And where they do, what are the successes? Let's look at other examples, or let's be that example for others.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank both candidates for sharing their thoughts with us today. We now are going to turn to our closing comments, and I'd like to remind the candidates that you each will have 1.5 minutes to answer the questions. And we're going to start with you, Randy, with your closing comments.
Okay, thank you. And Debbie, thank you, and I apologize about the phone going off. I hate it when that happens.
That's okay. Those things happen.
Yeah, my opponent's a good person, and as you've heard from many of our answers today, we share similar perspectives on a number of issues facing Kansas. However, there are key differences that distinguish us. As a strategic planning consultant, I have extensive experience navigating diverse opinions and significant differences across client teams. This experience mirrors the dynamics in the Kansas House of Representatives. It shouldn't be about winning arguments, but about finding common ground and solutions. By fostering collaboration, we can chart a path to successful outcomes and achieve our goals. Additionally, my background in business, where my partner and I managed employees, dealt with cash flow issues, ensured payroll was met, it's provided me with practical experience in making crucial decisions that affect people. When you're selecting what healthcare plan is going to be offered in your company for the next year, it affects employees and their families, and the gravity of these decisions has been made apparent to me. It's not just about the bottom line, it's about understanding the broader implications of each decision. These experiences give me unique perspective and a deeper understanding of the complexities involved in governance. They are what I believe sets me apart from my opponent in this race and will guide me as a member of the Kansas House of Representatives. Thank you to the councils. Thank you to our moderator.
Thank you, Randy. Debbie, thank you.
I'm a political outsider who will be focused on working with everyone to achieve practical results for Johnson County. I believe I can be a bipartisan bridge builder. It's important because our families and our seniors are being crushed by inflation, ever-increasing property taxes, and healthcare costs are a concern to everyone. I've been walking over 8 weeks now, 7 days a week, from 10 in the morning till 7 at night, talking and listening to the residents in District 48. And they shared with me their concerns, their worries, their stories. So those are the voices that I intend on taking and fighting for in Topeka. So I'm asking for your support and your vote on August 6th.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Randy, for being with us today and participating in our forum and your willingness to serve the people of Johnson County. I'd like to remind the audience that we are recording today's forum, and it will be available along with other election-related materials on the website votejoco.com. And I'd like to remind the audience that advanced voting is already underway, and the election day is Tuesday, August 6th, so please get out and vote. And thank you for your time, and we will see you back here in a few weeks for some more candidate forums.